Hello, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to today's Q&A. My name is Susana Briscoe-Alba. I'm the lead strategist at Dunami's Coaching and Consulting Services, and I'm excited to connect with y'all today. Hello, and welcome. I hope that you are having the most amazing day. And that you're having a good day, you're having a good month so far. Can y'all believe it's April 15th? It is tax season for those of us who are in the United States. It's Uncle Sam's Day. Okay. So I hope that you are doing great when you are catching this. Hello. As you are joining the room, tell me where you are joining me from. Let me know where you are joining me from. If you are new to my space, if this is your first time catching a live, please tell me where you are joining me from. So drop a 1 and tell me where you're joining me from. We are live on Instagram, we are live on YouTube, on LinkedIn, and on Facebook. So I hope all of y'all are well. My earring has clearly had enough already, and we haven't even gotten started. But I hope you guys are doing well. In true fashion, I asked you to ask me what were some of your questions, just career questions in general, and that I would get to answering them, right? So like that's what we're going to do today. We're going to answer your questions. And get started in real time. So the first question that I got, all right. So I see people joining me from Florida, San Antonio, Texas. I see folks from Raleigh, Durham. I see folks from Morocco, from Colombia, from Slovakia. Oh my goodness, we are international today. I love it. So I'm excited that you guys are here, that you're joining. So if you are new, again, my name is Susana Briscoe-Alba. I'm the lead career strategist at Dunami's Coaching and Consulting Services. And I help women land six-figure roles through leadership development and career strategy. And so today we're going to be talking about career strategy and helping you get answers to some of the questions that you submitted to me. If this is your first time, I want you to drop a 1 in the chat joining me. If this is not your first time, if you are not new to this, but you are true to this, friend, I want you to drop a 2 in the chat. If you are new, drop a 1. If you are not new, I want you to drop a 2. And we are going to get to business. But one of the things that you should know about me, as before we get started, y'all, is that I have pet peeves. Okay. And 3 of my biggest pet peeves are bad breath, bad eyebrows, and a bad attitude. Okay. And so I just feel like you should know that as we get into this live today. And I don't like ashy lips. So we're going to take care of that as well. Because that was a struggle. But yeah, that's what you should know about me. Somebody put 1.5 in the chat. Like, come on, y'all. You either new or you teetering in between new and not new. But let's get into the first question, right? So if you're ready, y'all are picking up on what I'm putting down. If you're ready, I want you to type ready in the chat. I'm going to pull up the questions here on my computer. If you see me looking off to a side, Instagram fan bam, it's because my computer is on this side. So if you're ready, I want you to type ready in the chat. I'm going to get to your questions. And I hope that after today, you leave equipped and prepared. And I hope that the questions that we answer in some way, shape, or form help you to propel forward. Okay. So it is a beautiful day here in New York, and I am excited to connect with y'all. As I get through these questions, I will do my very best to get to the questions that you have live. And answer those questions, but I want to give respect and honor to those who submitted their questions ahead of time. Okay, so the first question that I got is they said this: I have been in my field for 28 years. I had to look for a new job after 12 years, got an offer within a month of looking. I've heard employers expect for you to negotiate the first offer. Is that true? So to answer that question for Miss Scott, that question is, should I negotiate my first offer? And I'm always going to encourage you to negotiate your first offer. Because 9 times out of 10, there is likely some room in the budget for you to be able to get a little bit closer to what you want. But before you start negotiating your offer, there are a couple things that you should be paying attention to. And if you are a part of my tribe, you know that I'm going to tell you that there are 3 numbers, right, within your purview that you should know. What is your weight? What is your walk? And what is your want number? Weight, want, walk. All right. So that is what I want you to put in the chat. Weight, want, walk. Before you start negotiating, you should have already identified what is your weight, your want, and your walk number. And this was shared with me from a fellow coach whose name is escaping me right now, but she broke it down that way. And I want to share that with you, but I also want to give her credit because it's not original to Susana, and I believe giving credit where credit is due. But I think that that is a really great way for you to be able to break down how you are going to negotiate. Wait, want, walk. Wait, meaning that they are going to give you an offer, and that is going to be at the lower end of your salary requirement. So wait, meaning that it's not exactly what I want. So I'm going to wait a little while before I jump ship. Want is going to be the number where it is your kind of sweet spot, exactly where you want to land. And if they give that to you, you're ready to go. So right. So wait is going to be, you're going to hang out for a little bit. That's the preliminary stages of the negotiating. The want or the walk number. The want number is going to be the number that, okay, this is what I want. No questions asked. I may go back and forth, but I'm not upset. Okay. I hope that makes it clear. And then the second one is going to be, the last one, I should say, is going to be your walk number. And it is the number that is so good that no matter what happens, you are going to walk away. So wait, W-A-I-T, meaning wait for a second, right? Your want is exactly where you want to be in terms of your salary. And your walk number is pretty much, this is what I want. I have everything that I need in this offer, and I am going to walk. All right. So you should identify what those numbers are. And then once you have identified those numbers, then you can start the negotiation process. So I would say, yes, if you received an offer, you can always negotiate your offer. I want you to think in terms of total compensation more than just your salary, because there are more important things than just your money. So I want you to pay attention to what that is for you. Okay. I have a whole video on negotiating that's up on my YouTube channel that I break this down even more. But yes, you should negotiate your offer to a place where you feel the most comfortable. And to a certain degree, there will be a little bit of space in the budget for us to be able to meet the candidate based on their needs. Now, I say all of this to say also, please don't be delulu, okay? Don't go into a role negotiating $1 million salary when the cap of that role is only like 60 grand. 9 times out of 10, they're going to decline or rescind their offer. So before you go making requests, make sure that you have assessed whether or not the offer makes sense or the salary that you want makes sense for the market in which you are in. Okay. So I hope that was helpful. Next question that I got is, how do you tell your LinkedIn network? How do you tell your LinkedIn network that you want to do something other than what you were doing before you lost your job? So this individual was recently laid off, and they want to transition and pivot out of what they were doing before to something completely different. The first thing is assessing your network within LinkedIn and just kind of sharing what it is that you want to do. Don't assume that the folks who follow you or are connected to you on LinkedIn automatically know what it is that you want to do. Okay. So I would I would share with my network what it is that I am looking for in terms of the transferable skills that I have. So I would speak to where I want to go from where I've been. What does that mean? So that means that if I was an educator, only because my background is in higher education. But if I was an educator and I was in the classroom and I don't necessarily want to go back into the classroom, but I enjoy teaching, I would share that type of information in terms of, hey, listen, network, or hey, listen, friends, I'm looking for a new opportunity. Some of the areas where I excel are in teaching in different modalities, connecting or building relationships with key stakeholders. What else do you do in the classroom? Coming up with curriculum and curriculum planning. So though that type of language is a transferable skill that you can then take into, let's say, learning and developing, or if you wanted to go into customer success, those are the types of transferable skills that I would make mention of to my network, so like that they can understand, oh, okay, she used to be in education and now she wants to continue educating people, but not necessarily inside of the classroom. That is the way that you can share to your network that you want to do something different, by speaking to where you were and where you want to go. So I hope that that answered the question. Next question I got was, I've been employed by the same employer for 23 years in various roles. How should I reflect this work experience on my resume without aging myself? So for those of you who have been employed at your current employer and now you're looking to transfer or you're looking for a new opportunity, I would break down your resume by project more than just by title. And the reason that I say that is because titles will mean different things at different organizations. But when it comes to projects, I would pay attention to the industry or the company that I want to go into. What are the projects that they are most looking for in terms of skill? And how does my experience meet the criteria for said project? I just gave you a whole lot right there. So if you've been at the same employer for a long period of time and you've ascended in the ranks, right? You now have the opportunity, and you don't know how to show that on your resume. You now have the opportunity to break that down by projects that you've managed that are relevant to the role that you are applying to. That are relevant to the role that you are applying to. So once you break that down by the projects that you have managed and the results, AKA the impact that you've made, then and only then would I say, okay, now we can start looking at your resume from a different perspective, but also looking at what other roles you would be a good fit for. And again, impact over job function. That is something that I say a lot, impact over job function. So don't just tell me that you managed projects. What were the impact of those projects? What were the results of you managing said project? Okay. All right. So let's keep going. Y'all still with me? If you're still with me, I want you to say with me, with you, because I want to make sure that you guys are understanding. There's quite a few of you who follow me either on LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook, and quite a few of you who follow me on Instagram, who you perhaps have been at your employer for a long time and you're not entirely sure what that looks like. If you have been at your employer for a long period of time, focus on the impact that you've had over the time that you've been there. All right. So let's see. Answered that one. Okay. Next question. Hold on one second. Next question that I got was, okay, this question I got says, I struggle with organizing my thoughts while I know the answer and sometimes feel like I don't know how to articulate what I'm trying to say correctly. What are ways that I can overcome this issue? So we're going to do a little bit of an experiment. How many of you, when you go on an interview, like you know your stuff, but you feel like, I'm not entirely sure how to say that, or you get really nervous while sharing your information, that you start to like jumble your words or you start to ramble? If that is you, I want you to put a 3 in the chat. If you go on an interview and you've prepped for the interview and like you know your stuff, but for some reason or another, when you get into the interview room and you start connecting with people, you start rambling over the answers. If that is you, I want you to put a 3 in the chat. Okay, because I'm about to give you game on how you can do this. Here's one thing that there's a couple things that I'm going to share with you on how you can overcome that issue. Okay. The first thing is that I want you to leverage the free tools that are for you. Free. Okay. So if you are going on an interview and you're worried about what questions they're going to ask you, there are 2 platforms that I recommend that you look into. The first is going to be OpenAI, also known as ChatGPT. And in ChatGPT, I want you to tell it this prompt. I'm interested in applying for said role. You're going to insert the role. Act as the hiring manager and give me 5 or 6 questions that they would ask me during the interview. Okay. So you're going to put that in ChatGPT. ChatGPT is going to give you 5 or 6 questions that the interviewers will likely ask you based off of the role that you inputted. Okay. In the same thread, you're going to tell ChatGPT, now answer these questions using the STAR framework, STAR. I'm giving you like masterclass level stuff here right now. Now answer these questions using the STAR framework, STAR. ChatGPT is going to do it again. It's going to go off of the questions that it gave you from the previous thread, and then it's going to give you the answers for that. Okay. Once you have done that and you've gotten the answers, I want you to start to practice how you sound with those answers that were given to you. And anything that is not relevant to you, you're going to replace with your experience. Anything that is not relevant to you, you're going to replace with your experience. This is going to take a little bit of homework. So it's not like you can pull this up in front of like 5 minutes before the interview and expect that you're going to nail your interview. Because then don't come over here and say, Susana told me to do this and this didn't work. Baby, did I? Did I tell you though to do it 5 minutes before the interview? I think not. So I want you to go to ChatGPT, insert the role, have it ask you or you ask it, what are the possible questions that they can ask me? After it's giving you those possible questions, now answer these questions using the STAR method. STAR stands for situation, task, action, steps, result. It's going to give you the responses for said question, and then you are going to practice those responses based off of your relevant experience for the role that you're applying to. Here's the reason why this becomes so important. An interview is pretty much a conversation. It is a conversation. Okay. So they have to like you, but you also have to like them. And if you're so caught up in your thoughts and in your head that you start rambling, you lower your ability to make an assessment of whether or not this is a right fit for you, because you've put all of the attention and given all of the power to those who are interviewing you. So I need you to reclaim your power by practicing your responses based off of your relevant experience. This is how you get over the jitters, because by the time they ask you a variety of those questions, which will likely sound the same, you now have a story that you can tell. Instead of, if I were to ask you, so tell me about yourself. Oh, well, I'm a mom and I have 3 kids and I work in computer science and I love to bake. Baby, you know what? First of all, I shouldn't know that you're a mom with 3 kids. Second of all, tell me how baking is relevant to the role that you are applying to, unless you are a baker. And then lastly, keep your personal business personal. This is why you need to practice your responses so that they make sense for the role that you are applying, because bias is a very real thing. So if you start off with giving those types of responses, they can immediately discount you. Okay. So I need you to be aware of what you're going to say and craft your story using the STAR framework. Keep your personal business personal, but make sure that whatever you're sharing is relevant for the role. Okay. So if you're that type that gets really nervous at an interview, the moment that they tell you that they're ready for an interview and they've reached out to you to schedule an interview, that the following thing that you are doing is going to ChatGPT and running the play that I just gave you. I can't even talk. So if they reach out to you and they tell you we're interested in interviewing you for X role, you and them come up with the date. Your next move is to go to ChatGPT, insert the role that you're interviewing for, ask it what kinds of questions could they be asking, what are the answers for said questions using the STAR framework, and then you practice from the day that you got the date for the interview all the way until the date of the interview. So if this is helping you, I want you to type in the chat, run the play. Run the play. Because a lot of people will struggle, but it's because you have a load of information, but you're not implementing what you have. And so you put a lot of blame. Oh, the interview sucked. The interview, they didn't like me. They don't know you from a can of paint. And so if you did not prepare yourself, it's not their fault. Right? So I'm giving you tough love today because I need more of our sisters in places of decision. But you will never get there if you don't prepare. Okay? So run the play. Run the play. Information, ladies, without implementation will lead to your stagnation. You won't be able to blame anybody else. I'm going to say that one more time for those of you who take notes, because I know you do. Information without implementation will lead to your stagnation. So don't get caught slipping. Run the play. Okay? And here's another thing that I want to remind you. So I'm going to remind some and make others aware that if they called you for the interview, it's because they already think that you're qualified. So prove them right. I'm not going to call somebody who I don't think is qualified. Okay? All right. I hope that was helpful. I was a really long one, but I wanted to make sure that I gave you like actionable steps that you can take. All right. Let's see. Phrases RF. I don't know what that means. Okay. So next question is, what to do if a former employer has you checked as a rehire, but your former manager speaks ill of you? Application requesting previous managers. Okay, I'm going to just tackle the first half of that question because I'm not sure what the second one is. So what to do if your former employer has checked you as a rehire, but your former manager speaks ill of you? So I have two questions for you. If you are the type that is like you've been selected or you've been checked off as a rehire, and there is still the possibility that you can be working with or working for your previous manager, there are a couple things that I want you to pay attention to. Number one, is it worth going back to that environment? Okay. And I understand that you need a job. Okay. I understand that you need a job, but I want you to pay attention to the environment to which you are going back. So if you have the probability that you're going to be working with a previous manager who speaks ill of you, is it necessary for you to go back to said job? Because just because they're paying you more money does not change the toxic environment that still remains. So if you were labeled as a rehire and you have the possibility of a manager who is going to be toxic and they speak ill of you, unless you have proof that they are speaking ill of you, why would you, like, how could you prove that? And if that manager is speaking ill of you, then I can only imagine what type of environment they're creating for you. Likely, you will not grow or thrive in that environment. So is it worth getting rehired only to find yourself in a hotter situation trying to find another job? I would much rather you consider a bridge job, okay? Or a bridge type of role. All right. And many people are going to start to ask me, Susana, what's a bridge job? A bridge job is simply the job that you take in the gap of leaving where you were to where you want to go. You take this job with the understanding that this is a temporary means for you to move to your next role. So you don't go in there with the expectation that you're going to be there for a very long time. You take it as a bridge job. Why? Because we have very real bills to pay. So it's not like you can afford to be at home not working. Okay. So as you are going into this new role or looking for a new opportunity, consider a bridge type of position. It's paying the bills. I'm challenged just a little bit, but this is not my forever type of role. So it's a bridge so that you can get over the hump of where you were to where you want to be. Fair? If that makes sense, I want you to write fair in the chat. Fair. Because I think a lot of people are out here selling you a lie of, "Ooh, you got to get your dream job. Go for your dream job." Ladies, let me break something down to you. Once you've taken a job, it's probably a dream job for the first, I don't know, 6 to 8 months. And then after a while, you're not the new shiny thing, and people start acting real funny. And then you are finding yourself looking for a new dream job. But when you can take it from the approach of reality, this is just a means to an end, then you don't set yourself up to be heartbroken later on. Women, we are emotional beings, and we pour ourselves into everything that we do. And so when people start acting real funny, instead of looking at it externally, we internalize it and assume that it's us, when in fact, it really could be them. Okay. So this is why I tell you, you may just need to take a bridge opportunity or a bridge job so like that you can still pay your bills, because I don't need you to be out here with the lights cut off. And then move into the next role. And typically what I get when I say that, people are like, "Susana, I can't even get into a bridge role." Well, I would challenge you to consider where you are applying. And I would also challenge you to consider your perspective, because what is your bridge if you've not defined it? So I'm gonna let that one sit. All right. I'm coming for y'all's edges today, but I promise you I'm coming from a place of love. Next question that I got is, will you be hosting a resume boot camp again? Yes. So I will be hosting a resume boot camp again. If you joined me for the first resume boot camp, you already know that that resume boot camp was fire. It was a time. Like I don't know how else to describe it other than that. That resume boot camp, we had quite a few people who joined us, and man, oh man, was that a powerful time. I will be doing it again. I will be sharing that information with those who are on my newsletter. So if you are not on my newsletter, you want to make sure that you get on my newsletter, because I will be dropping the date for the next resume bootcamp that will happen in May. So make sure that you're on the newsletter. And if you want to get on the newsletter, you simply go to susanaalba.co and register for Hey Sis. Somebody said that my edges were just growing back. I love you, honey. I'm sorry. Oh, man. Okay. Next question that I got is, I've completed 2 interviews and I've been requested to meet with the CEO and the COO. Okay. Yes. Question here is, I'm nervous. How do I prepare for this meeting? What will they ask? I'm so nervous. First of all, if they're calling you to meet with the CEO and the COO, it's because they think that you are qualified, sis. So the same way that you prepared for your initial interviews, right? That same play that I gave you of ChatGPT, what are the questions, so on and so forth. So instead of telling ChatGPT to act as the hiring manager, now you just switch out the role. Act as the CEO or the COO of this company, insert the company. And I'm interviewing for this role, insert the role. What are the possible questions that they can ask me? So I hope that is helpful. But yeah, that's the play that I would leverage. So like that, you can more or less get an idea of what are the possible questions that they would ask you. At that level, COOs and CFOs and CEOs and all the other O's you can think of, they are going to want to know, how are you going to move the company's mission and bottom line forward? They are not going to be there for any kind of fluff. They're just not. They are not going to be there for you to make them feel good. They just want to know, can we trust you to move our organization forward? And if we trust you with that, what does that look like? That's what they're going to want to know. So that's how you have to prepare your responses. All right. And last question here from the questions that I got is, I was recently let go by my employer. I'm devastated. Oh, honey, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. How do I address the question during interviews? I have never been let go or had a career gap. I'm also curious if you offer. Okay. So if you have been let go of your role, there's a couple things that I'm going to suggest that may be against the status quo. And I almost caution to say them because I don't want you to internalize the being let go. The first thing that I'm going to encourage you to do, my love, if you have been let go at any capacity, that is a huge confidence hit. So the first thing that I'm going to encourage you to do is not to find a new job. My first encouragement to you and my first strategy to you is to rest. I'm going to encourage you to rest, and resting will look different for everyone. I'm not encouraging you to sit on your hands at home, but I am encouraging you to rest from a perspective of, what is it that I want to do next? Because if you go on and start searching aggressively and you have not given yourself time to heal and to really reevaluate where you want to go, your desperation will come through on an interview, and hiring managers and recruiters are going to sense it. And instead of attracting new opportunities, you will repel them. So my first recommendation is for you to rest. And resting may be you taking a bridge job that perhaps pays the bills, but is to a certain degree not as taxing on your mind as your previous role was. That's the first thing that I'm going to encourage you to do. The second thing that I'm going to encourage you to do is to leverage your network. Leverage your network. Your personal network and your professional network. Most people will tell me, oh, Susana, well, I don't have a network. Well, then I would tell you, you were living under a rock, because you probably have a network. Your friends, your family, your previous coworkers, previous managers, they are all either in a place of employment where they can speak your name into certain rooms and new opportunities that you don't even think of. But if you've not shared that information with them, they cannot speak on your behalf. So the first thing was to rest, evaluate where you want to go. Secondly, leverage your network. Start asking people questions such as, what are some of the issues that your company is facing right now? Because what you want to do is be a solution to a problem. That's the whole reason why we hire. It's because we have a problem and we need someone who can be a solution to it. So leverage your network, start asking those kinds of questions. So like that, you know where the gaps are and how your expertise is a good fit. So make sure that you've rested. After you've rested, leverage your network. And number 3, update your resume and your LinkedIn profile. And if you don't have one, now would be a great time for you to start one. And I know what a lot of people tell me when it comes to that. Oh, well, I don't want anybody to see my face on LinkedIn, or I don't want anybody to see me on LinkedIn. If we can't find you, how can we assess your genius? And in this type of market, you're going to struggle if you're applying cold. So if you have a place where your family and friends can now refer decision makers to, then it makes it a lot easier for us to connect with you. And this is so much more than just your face on a profile. What you want to do on your LinkedIn profile is you want to showcase your expertise, because regardless of you getting laid off, that does not diminish or negate that you are valuable, that you've done great work, and that you can continue to do great work. So those would be my 3 recommendations. If anyone who is watching or listening is in a season where you have been let go, I want you to realize that you still hold a ton of value. But we need to get clear about where we want to go, because not everybody is worthy of your time, talent, and attention. So I'm sorry, my love, but I hope that gave you a little bit more clarity, and it gave you a little bit more peace. Okay. So next question, and this will be my last one, because I see some of y'all have questions in the live. So I have an interview at a previous company that let me go without cause. I have another interview with the same company for a different position. How will I answer the question as to why I did not add the job to my resume? I honestly don't even know how to answer that question, because why didn't you? Not that I don't know how to answer it. It just, now I have more questions. Why didn't you list the role on your resume? I would need more context. So Leah Coleman, if I believe this is your question, my love, if you could give me more context, you can email it to me, and maybe I can help you out from that aspect. But the only time that I tell people not to put jobs on their resume is after the 90-day mark. Typically, 90 days is what a company will give you before you exit the probation period. And 90 days is what I encourage all of y'all to give the company as well. Because if they have you on probation, you put them on probation. In 90 days, you can assess whether or not these people are about their employees and supporting their employees, where at a lot of times by 90 days, you're like, this is not at all what I thought was going to be the case. So that would be the only time that I would say don't put it on your job. But once you've hit 90 days, you should update your resume. Okay, so question from the live right now is, I'm interviewing for a position in which the salary was stated on the job description. Can you talk about how to negotiate for a higher salary? I have significant experience in this role. Okay, so this person, I guess, negotiated in the past and the offer was rescinded, and they don't want to not negotiate. Okay, so again, this goes back to that research that I shared with you. If you are in the negotiation process, I want you to understand that you have the most leverage at the point of offer. What does that mean? That means that at the point of them offering you the position is when you can engage in conversation surrounding negotiation. If what they said on the job description is in fact less, or if what they offered you is in fact less than what was shared on the job description, then you share the job description with them and you can tell them, I'd like to be closer to the range that was listed on the job description. If for some reason they say, well, that's no longer available, or we don't have that kind of budget, that's red flag number 1. Because why would you list something on the job description that now you can't hold true to? Okay. So I would challenge you to pay attention to that. If they list something on the job description, and then when you get into the point of negotiation, it is significantly different than what was listed on the job description, I'm a hiring manager, y'all. And so that would make me think, what type of game are you playing? Because are you trying to get in a whole lot of talent so that you can lowball them? And secondly, are you hoping that they won't pay attention and then you can play with people's money? Don't do that. Okay. So that would be red flag to me, number 1. If they can't get back to that job salary that they mentioned, then the other option that I would ask is leveraging the scope of work. to your advantage, because in essence, they kind of lied to you. And after the first thing, it really is up to you. Do you want to work for said organization? But then leverage, if they can't meet you at the salary that you want or the salary that they listed, then are there other aspects that you're willing to negotiate? Are you able to work remotely? Can you have a different title? Can you request more put into your 401k or 403b? So those are the kinds of things that I would ask. Okay, so just kind of pay attention to those. And also, y'all, pay attention. Like, a lot of people want remote work, right? A lot of people want remote work. Companies are not dumb. So they understand that a lot of people want remote opportunities. And so, okay, if you want to be remote, then we are going to cut the salary in half, but at least you'll be remote. So pay attention, because that's the game. Okay. So if you know that you want to be remote, understand that they are going to offer that to you, but perhaps not at the salary that you want, especially in this type of market. This is why you have to pay attention to what is going on in the market and make sure that your expectations are realistic to what is happening. Because you will walk around highly frustrated if you're expecting to make 150K or something like that. In a remote role, and they say, okay, we'll give you the remote, but we'll only give you 80. Is that something that you're comfortable with, despite you having all of the expertise? Because one of the ways that companies will leverage that is it's a control thing. Okay. So somebody asked a really good question and I forgot to mention it. So they said, hi, Susana, you stated that you will mention 2 apps. One was ChatGPT and the other one I did not mention. The other one is Google Gemini. You could do the same thing. It's another free AI tool that you can leverage, Google Gemini. And because I'm in the giving mood, I'll give you another one. The third one is perplexity.ai. Ooh, I'm giving you strategy today. So those would be the ones that I would recommend for you. ChatGPT was the one that I mentioned before. Perplexity.ai was the bonus one that I just gave you. And Google Gemini is Google's version of ChatGPT. Okay. All right. So I think I got all of the questions here on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Now, listen, y'all, if I can't get to your questions today, know that you are more than welcome to book and you need me to do certain things. So if you need me to do a resume audit, like you want me to review your resume, you can book a career strategy session and a resume audit, and I do those with you. I'll go over your resume, I'll go over your transferable skills, and then together we'll look at new opportunities for you to consider. I do not write your resume during that. Okay. It's just a resume audit. I assess what's going on, give you a couple pointers, tell you where you can look, and then I send you on your way. Now, if you want us to rewrite your resume, your cover letter, and your LinkedIn profile, that is also a service that we offer. And you can find more information on that on my site, susanaalba.co/store. Let me drop that for y'all. susanaalba.co/store, and you'll see the options that are available to you if you want us to work on your resume. Let me just put that here. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. I got fat fingers, so just work with me for a second. And Alba / oh Lord. You see what I mean? I need a moderator, y'all, because these chunky fingers be trying to do the most. Whippa. Uh-oh. All right. So I'm dropping it in the chat and I will pin it for y'all. So that's my site, susanaalba.co. And that's where you can get information on resume revisions. Okay. Okay. So question is, let's see. I realized my job changed the policy for longer hours and more work in which I don't want to do anymore. I want a 9 to 5. Okay. How to tell this in an interview. Um, you can ask that kind of question. So, what are the standard working hours for this role? And they should be able to tell you. Uh, they should be able to tell you what the standard hours are for the position. So that's how you can ask that question. Liz Lopez, my love, I see that you didn't get your workbook for the boot camp. It's in the same place where the link to the replay is. You know what, Liz? Send me a direct message, my love. Send me a direct message. Okay, the next one is I have a very complex situation and I'd love your advice, but I think I will be able to explain better via DMs. If you feel that it is that complex, then I'm going to encourage you to book a strategy session so like that we can get through that together. I am new in Canada and I have 2 years of career break in my resume. How do I start my career here? Okay, so I'm based out of the United States. So I please take what I say with a grain of salt because I'm not sure if this will work for you in the Canadian market. But what I do know about companies is that they're going to want to know what impact that you have at your last organization and how can you replicate that impact at their organization. So even if you have 2 years of a career break, focus less on the break and focus more on the impact that you bring and the change that you will make at the organization. If you can speak from that place, then you likely will have a stronger probability to land a better opportunity. But don't focus so much on the break because since the pandemic, most people have breaks on their in their career history. So it's not like, remember, it was a global pandemic. It wasn't just specific to one country or one area. So as long as you can discuss how you have kept yourself marketable during that time, you should be good. Okay. Um, Question is here, if I'm asking for a promotion, what's the best approach? Have data. Have data, data, data. So you cannot go to your employer and say, hi, I have a beautiful smile and the team really likes me and I think you should pay me more. Because they may smile back and say, hi, I'm so glad you think you have a beautiful smile and I'm so excited that the team likes you. But no. But if you can address your impact at your organization when you are ready to ask for a promotion, have your data in black and white, ladies and gentlemen. Have your data. So if you are not new to me, you already know where I'm going with this one. Have an evidence list. If you are new to me, an evidence list or a task tracker, whatever you want to call it, it is where you are keeping track of the work that you're doing, who you're working with, and what is the impact that you're making. That type of data. Also, if you have annual reviews or quarterly reviews, that goes into that data as well. Because if you're getting 5s and 4s on all of your annual reviews and you're winning people over and you're moving things forward, that is data that proves that you're an expert at what you do. So leverage your data. That would be the best approach. Question here is, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts about applying for a position with a degree requirement, but you have the qualifications for the role? What are your thoughts about applying for a position with a degree requirement, but you have the qualifications for the role? I'm going to assume that the question is, okay, so if you have a degree and you have the experience, I say apply. That would be my response. If you don't have a degree, but you have the experience, then my strategy to you is going to be leverage your network. Who are your nice to knows, your need to knows, and your connectors? How can they get you into the right rooms with the right peoples? So like that, your degree is not a point of contention, but your experience precedes you and speaks volumes of what you can do. That would be my recommendation for that one. Okay, so question here is, I did a project and now I'm in the last round. I did a project, I'm assuming for an interview. So I did a project for an interview and now I'm in the last round of interviews. I got an email from HR Friday last week letting me know that I should hear something this week, that they've had some delays due to traveling conflicts, but they're very excited of what I can offer and bring to the team. Am I being strung along? I would say no. So if you did a project, hold on one second. If you did a project and you did what you were supposed to do with the project, I would say it's not uncommon for you to feel like you're being strung along. But if you did a project, I can guarantee you there were probably more than one or two people who were reviewing said project. And now they have to get to a place where everybody makes a decision and can get concise. And if they travel, like I used to travel, sometimes those calendars can get really busy based on the level of travel that they're doing. So I would do everything possible to stay top of mind. If you've not connected with them on LinkedIn, you should. If you've not started to share about your genius publicly where people can see it, you should. If after a couple of days you haven't heard anything, you should reach out to the hiring manager or the recruiter, whoever you were connected with. Here's another thing that I want you to be mindful of, ladies. Companies will treat their first choice candidates like first choice candidates. So you will have communication with them. It is up to you to continue that communication going. Okay? So I'm going to say that again. Companies will treat their first choice candidates like first choice. They won't leave you guessing. But it is also up to you to remain consistent and relevant to said company so like that you don't fall off the radar. All righty? All righty, my love. Let's see. All right, there are a lot of questions in the question bubble that I've already answered, just kind of from what we talked about earlier on. So I want to be respectful of time. And so I want you to, if you joined me late and you see that I didn't answer your question, likely go back to the beginning of this live. This live will be on all of my channels, so you can catch it there. But if you need additional support and you feel like your situation is complex, I'm going to encourage you to book a one-on-one session with me, a career strategy session. You can send me a DM and tell me, Susana, I'm interested in booking a career strategy session with you, and we can address your situation in real time. Okay. Keep your eyes on your email for those of you who are on my newsletter, because I will be doing a second resume bootcamp in the month of May. So it's going to be amazing. And during the boot camps, I do review resumes in real time. And I do give you strategy in real time. So if you've not joined the newsletter yet, you want to make sure that you are on the newsletter. So like that, you know when the date of the resume bootcamp will be. I'm going to do another one in May, and it's going to be a great time. I promise you. And if you're one of the ones who registers first, once registration's open, you'll have the opportunity to submit your resume, and I will likely review your resume in real time. Okay. So if this helped you today, there's two things that I want you to do. The first thing is that I want you to tell me what was your biggest takeaway from our live today. And the second thing that I want you to do is share this with someone else who is in need of some help. Okay. So tell me what was your biggest takeaway today? And then secondly, if this helped you, sharing is caring. Share it with someone else who can use some support when it comes to their research or to their job search. Okay. Somebody said be consistent. Oh yeah. Yes, yes, yes. Yes. Please make sure that you remain consistent. The boot camp is going to be held in May. And during the boot camp, I give you behind the scenes of what it looks like from a hiring manager's perspective. of what we see when we see your resume. And then in that bootcamp, I also review resumes that have been submitted in real time. The chat GPT clutch, yes. Rest and determine where you desire to pivot next. Absolutely. A bridge job. Yep. Finding out that, yep, find a bridge job, y'all. We got real bills to pay, but just because you take a bridge job does not mean that you're less than. So I'm glad that you guys are leveraging. Somebody says, Susana, that sounds painful. Oh, Lord. No, we don't want painful. We don't want painful. Challenging, maybe, but not painful. Biggest takeaway, bridge job. Yes. Reevaluate your next chapter. Use data when having promotion conversations. Listen, depending on where you're at your organization, mid-year reviews will be coming up and end-of-year reviews will be coming up. If you have not started to document the work that you are doing, you have a solid 2 months to do so. So get to it. Get to it. The other thing that I'll share with y'all is that in June, we're going to be hosting a women's conference in New York. And that's one of the things that we are going to be teaching. Like, first of all, what does it look like for you to have an evidence list? And then second of all, what does that look like practically when you want to apply that in your place of work? Some of y'all, I also know, want to like make your side hustle your full-time gig. But let me share one of the things we're going to be talking about at the conference is your 9 to 5 right now. You should be leveraging that 9 to 5 to prepare you for your side hustle so that you can make your side hustle your full-time hustle. But here is the trap. The trap is that many folks hate their job so much that they cannot see how their current role is preparing them for success. And so when you get into the world of entrepreneurship or you get into the world of making your side hustle your full-time hustle, you struggle because you've not leveraged your 9 to 5 in the most effective manner. So we will be tapping into that. Woo! I can't wait. So June 25th and June 26th is the Women's Leadership Conference in Poughkeepsie, New York. If you are in the New York area, New Jersey area, Connecticut area, it's about, depending where you are in New York, I'm from the Bronx, so I'll base it off of the Bronx. From the Bronx to where we're going to be hosting the event, it's about a 65-minute drive. If you're from Brooklyn or any of the other boroughs in New York City, add the time that it would take to the Bronx, and then from the Bronx to the convention center. So that would be my recommendation. Yes. Skills, the current role. I love that you guys are taking notes. I love it. And that you're dropping it in the chat. This is awesome. So like I said, if you were late to the live, no worries, my loves. You will be able to catch the replay. The replay will be on IG, on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. And you will be able to take some notes and put into implementation what you have learned, okay? So thank you so much for your time today. I hope that this was helpful. I hope that you were able to garnish enough information to know what your next step is, okay? I love y'all, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye, everybody. See you later.